Goro, Kintaro, Motaro, Shao Kahn, Shinnok, Moloch, Onaga, Blaze, Dark Khan, Corrupted Shinnok, Chronica. Ha 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 ha! The boss fight. The culminating of an entire arcade tower run in one hoot and holler of a do-si-do with one final extra hard, overpowered hombre who makes for an oh-so-fun dance partner. But with speed, scale, cunning, and a little bit of luck, you can overcome the challenge and win big. In 30 years of Mortal Kombat, players sure as shooting have gone up against no shortage of final bosses who are devastating a-holes and some absolute monsters who made you work hard for the money. So hard for it, honey. But how do the boss fights in Mortal Kombat 12 stack up against the best in the franchise? Well, howdy there, partner. I'm Bum Cheese Lord 69, and I'm fixing to welcome y'all to this here second feature in my series on why Mortal Kombat 12 sucks. In today's picture show, boss fights ain't fun, and they waste your time. So what makes a good boss fight? Well, to find out, let's take a gander at old corrupted Shinnok here. Go 2 rounds of the regular old Shinnok, and this happens.
Tremble before me as I absorb Earthrealm's power.
Corrupted Shinnok here's an example of a boss fight done right. He's got a big showy entrance that turns him into a big stony monster before he unleashes big sweeping attacks, a ground pound, and some devastating special moves. Best of all, he doesn't need any of that there funny business like a massive health bar or being armored the entire time like in some boss fights, and the grand finale is just as satisfying. Next thing I'm fixing to discuss with y'all is the most hated boss in Mortal Kombat. You guessed her, it's...
I have been expecting you. Your life, your name, they will be wiped from history. Come, it is time to die.
Chronica. See this here filly? Chronica is the keeper of time and a member of a group of super beings called the Titans who are even more powerful than the Elder Gods. So much so that Chronica even birthed 2 of them herself. In fact, Chronica is the first and only lady final boss in Mortal Kombat history. But why do the fans hate her so much? For starters, she doesn't ragdoll from hits or even fall down properly, making combos useless against her. Which isn't exactly a good thing in a fighting game in which the whole point is to learn combos and get good at executing them. You see, when you hit a regular character, there's a brief stun allowing you to follow up with another hit for a combo. But Chronica, she doesn't do that. Instead, she lurches backward, causing the next hit in the combo to miss, but even if it doesn't, she can quickly punish you or even teleport out of the combo entirely. Worse yet, you can't even juggle Chronica, because if you do manage to knock her down, she explodes into sand, then immediately teleports back to a standing position. However, she cannot duck, so she is completely vulnerable to low attacks. The other reason the fans hate Chronica is that because she's the keeper of time, when someone takes her out, that hombre becomes the new keeper of time and pushes the big old reset button on the entire Mortal Kombat story, because, NetherRealm doesn't like repeating themselves. So that whole group of Titans who are more powerful than the Elder Gods, we never get to learn their story because we end up right back to square one. Alright, y'all. Now I'd like to discuss with you how Mortal Kombat 12 handles boss fights, so it's time for your suffering to begin. Giddy up. For starters, Mortal Kombat 12 doesn't actually have a boss character because every fighter gets to be a final boss. For instance, in arcade mode, instead of fighting an actual boss character, all you end up doing is fighting Shang Tsung with Quan Chi as a cameo fighter who is unavailable to the player in that capacity. As for story mode, it's the same thing, only you get stuck with Liu Kang as a cameo fighter. So all those combos you practiced for your chosen character that involve your preferred cameo fighter, well, guess what? They're all useless. Now, before you all start coming at me about Titan Havoc at the end of Chaos Reigns, well, if and you remember the funny business I mentioned earlier about the extra large health bar, well, essentially, that's the idea. See, at the end of Chaos Reigns, the final boss fight gives Titan Havoc a 50% larger health bar and a spammable Kamidogu blast. Yep, that's your boss fight at the end of Chaos Reigns. As for Towers of Time, well, like I said earlier, there are no boss characters because every regular fighter on the roster gets to be a final boss with a boss move and what I like to call the golden bullcrap armor of Titicaca. You see, in Mortal Kombat 12's Towers of Time, there are two classes of final boss. There are minor bosses and major bosses. As for the minor bosses, well, if you recall the funny business I mentioned earlier about giving the boss armor, well, yep, that's the idea. So what is Golden Bullcrap Armor of Titicaca, or as Mortal Kombat 12 calls it, Ethereal Armor? Well, while it still allows the minor boss to take damage, Ethereal Armor protects the minor boss against ragdolling from moves or combos, or even reacting to them at all. This means you have no way to disrupt the minor boss's moves and combos, leaving the minor boss free to pull all manner of shenanigans up to and including juggling you around for an entire round, and there ain't a thing you can do about it. Sound fun? No? Well, it gets worse. Do you all recall the major bosses I mentioned a few moments ago? Well, with the major bosses, not only do they get the golden bullcrap armor of Titicaca, but they also get one or two boss moves, and that's where things get plumb ignorant. Start round one against Major Boss Kung Lao, and you got to deal with this malarkey. You see, Major Boss Kung Lao likes to skedaddle off screen at the beginning of the round, leaving you to deal with these hats whipping around the screen and cutting away at your health little by little. To make matters worse, he starts round two with the same bull crap, and since he moseys on out of view, there's no way to attack him to disrupt this or even prevent it from happening. Far as I know, there ain't a way to dodge the hats either, so your only option, unless you have a translucent field on the encounter, is to duck and block, then hope that you have enough health left over to beat Major Boss Kung Lao, even though he still has the help of the golden bullcrap armor of Titicaca. You know, they say things come in threes, and with Major Boss Kung Lao, tedious bullcrap that wastes your time is no exception, because you guessed it, he's starting off round three with the same malarkey. Only this time he's activating special magic armor, because I guess golden bullcrap armor of Titicaca just wasn't quite enough. So, if you want to do any meaningful combos against him, you gotta break through that first. Yippee-ki-yay. As if the magic armor and the bit with the hats cutting away at your health wasn't enough, Major Boss Kung Lao also does this in round three. Now, I actually did have a translucent feel on this here encounter when I recorded this, but if and I didn't, I'd be taking tiny amounts of damage from what's about to happen next. Now let's have ourselves a look at good old Sindel. Start round one against Major Boss Sindel, and you're treated to this load of hooey. Major Boss Sindel starts with her floating up into the center of the screen before she starts firing off these homing magic missiles at you like you see her doing here. Since they're homing missiles, there ain't a way to dodge them, and you can't attack her when she's doing this either. Believe me, I tried. So once again, you're stuck ducking and blocking while you wait for this to stop so the fight can begin with whatever health and time you have left. Just like with Major Boss Kung Lao, Major Boss Sindel starts round two off with the same load of hooey she did in round one. It's not that this tactic does a terribly large amount of damage or makes the fight altogether challenging to win. It's just that it's incredibly tedious and boring because you're stuck sitting here doing nothing while you're waiting for this to end. Since Sindale's a big fan of bad things coming in threes, she starts off round three by pulling the same hooey she did in the first two rounds. You know, it wouldn't be such a bad thing if this were a one round situation or if there was some way of avoiding this, but you have to sit through this boring sequence every round. Now, fortunately, this sequence from your boss fight against Major Boss Smoke is only a round two situation, but it's no less tedious and irritating because, once again, it's another unavoidable sequence. Once again, the major boss, in this case Smoke, skedaddles off screen and throws a bunch of smoke bombs across the fight line. Additionally, you have to deal with a blade whipping across the fight line that you have to duck and block. But now, if the smoke bombs hit you while you're ducking and blocking, they can actually break your block and make you take slightly more damage. The real problem with this one is that it drags on for so long when you really just want to get on with the fight. What's especially dumb about fighting Major Boss Smoke is that in round three he turns invisible, so you're stuck spending the entire round fighting an opponent you can't even see. I get that the developers think this is supposed to be more challenging or whatever, but ultimately it just ends up not being very fun. It's like the developers don't seem to understand that video games are a visual medium, and part of that experience in a fighting game is getting to see your fighters on screen in their cool costumes. Well, y'all can't really do that if your opponent's invisible, now can you? Now, a truly agonizing boss fight is dealing with Major Boss Johnny Cage in round three. Following the pattern of Major Boss's skedaddling off screen, Major Boss Johnny Cage leaves you with a whole mess of undead monsters coming at you from both sides and a Ferrari that whips across the screen a couple times before you're done while all this is happening. What's really bad about this one is you have another long, tedious, boring load of horse pucky that holds up the third round and wastes a bunch of time on the clock, but now you also have a situation in which you can very easily die before you ever get to fight that third round, or end up with so little health that you don't even have a chance once you get to fight Johnny Cage again. Now, with Major Boss Raiden starting in round three, he starts using a repetitive, unavoidable boss move that's too quick to interrupt, so once again, you're stuck ducking and blocking. It's annoyingly time-consuming, but easy enough to counter once you realize he fires 6 blasts in one sequence. However, it gets particularly irritating when he starts doing it multiple times per round. And not every Major Boss is particularly hard to fight in the third round, and Major Boss Kenshi doesn't happen to be one of them, especially when you realize you can get through this entire sequence without taking any damage by sashaying over to the far right of the screen and ducking down with no blocking required. However, it's still a load of hogwash that wastes a lot of time on the clock and holds up the third round. Wow, I really wasn't kidding about this thing taking way too long. You'd think after a while the AI would realize this isn't working and just stop. I mean, that is just bad programming right there. Speaking of bad AI programming, one of the dumbest third rounds to fight is against Major Boss Rain. He plants his water staff in the ground and sprays a water stream in a circle. But at the beginning of the round, if you walk up to him and duck down, he plants the water staff behind you, rendering the move useless. Then you can just uppercut him out of it. However, where this gets real good and dumb is after that. If you walk up to him and duck down, he will plant the water staff behind you, allowing you to uppercut him out of the same move again. Not only that, but he will keep on trying this no matter how many times it fails. Well, I hope y'all had fun watching this here picture show, because I certainly had fun making it, and y'all can look forward to a mess of shorts on this topic in the near future. Well, I had a mess of clips I wanted to show y'all, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do that, because as Lady Luck would have it, my fair gentlemen, ladies, and assorted wasteland mutants, we are plumb out of time, so I'm going to have to be hitting the old dusty trail till next time. Well, I reckon that'll just about be the end of this here feature. So for now, I thank y'all for watching. Download, comment, like, share, subscribe. I hope y'all were infotained. Keep all water fluoride free. Deboot that there reboot. Let's make Saints Row 5 and I'll see y'all in the next picture show. Ha 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 ha! Is that your best? Giddy giddy boing boing.